there's some interactive elements.
Okay, welcome everyone to Let's Buy the Next Side. Thank you for showing up tonight. Some of you've been here before. We're modeling this after Let's Vibe up in Denver, which Danny Newman started like a year ago. Actually, Kyle's been to one of his events. So we've been doing this for a month and a half now, kind of getting our feet wet. The group has obviously grown. Last time we had Danny and Joe down from Let's Vibe to do Quad Code 101, which was great. I've known Kyle for some time. When I was on the board for Colorado Companies to Watch, Kyle is a past winner through his company Storyvine. And I think it was probably 2 years ago, I went to a talk that Kyle was giving at Invisible City up in Denver on AI. And I was kind of like, didn't really know what AI was all about. Wasn't even using ChatGPT on a daily basis. Kyle gave the most amazing presentation, totally blew my mind. I'm like, okay, I got to get into AI. And that was kind of the start of me ramping up. Kyle founded AI Salon, which is an online community for AI enthusiasts. He's on, almost every night on YouTube.
I go live 5 nights a week on YouTube and TikTok talking about AI.
And he's not boring. He is definitely not boring. So I highly encourage you to check out AI Salon, follow the AI Learning Lab on YouTube, and when you're bored at home at night, go on YouTube and watch Kyle. He's very entertaining. And grateful that he made the trip down here tonight from Denver. Really appreciate it. I think he's going to give a great presentation tonight. And Kyle, it's all yours.
Thank you so much.
And make sure everyone signs in before you leave tonight.
I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. Thanks for coming. I assume you don't know what the heck we're going to talk about tonight. I want to share some new thinking that I've got on AI, but I'm Kyle Shannon. I've had a crazy fun career that's always been at the intersection of new technology and storytelling or self-expression. And the moment that we're in, this generative AI moment, is absolutely crazy. I'm going to take us on a journey tonight, so I hope you're okay with that. And I promise you we're going to end up in a really amazing place. But it may not seem like that to start, so I hope you guys good for a little sense of adventure tonight, a little fun? Playing along? Good. In a moment, but not yet, I'll sort of dive into what we're talking about here. But I thought what might be good is just to give you a little bit of my background and my context for how I understand what's happening in the world right now. So I'm a storyteller by training. I have a fine arts degree in acting. I moved to New York City out of school and started and ran a theater company for 4.5 years, dramatic life of the starving artist. And then I got tired of, macaroni and cheese, so I thought I got to make some money. So because I'm smart, I thought, I know, I'll write myself an acting career. So I went through a 2-year stretch where I wrote 7 screenplays in 2 years and started a fake management company to do that. And that didn't make me any money either. But my day job, instead of waiting tables, I didn't want to be cliche, I did desktop publishing. And so I was good with computers, and people started talking about this thing called the World Wide Web. And I started seeing bus posters about it, Wired Magazine and Mondo 2000. And I was really intrigued by this. And I kept thinking about this time in my childhood. When I was in 7th grade, I walked into my first day of math class in 7th grade, and there were Radio Shack TRS-80 computers on every desk. And I learned how to use computers. I learned personal computers, and I learned basic programming. And I remember being just too young. I remember thinking like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, like I'm just younger than, like I just missed it. And I knew that machine was like the printing press. Like I knew that these things don't come along very often, like every couple of 100 years. And so I was like heartbroken that I missed this moment in history. So this World Wide Web thing comes along, and I don't know what it is. And I teach myself enough HTML to put together some pages, and I had an idea. I thought, I know a bunch of talented people and actors and writers, and what if I put together an art and culture magazine? Because the internet, all that was on it was like research papers and dissertations and science. And so I came up with this idea for an art and culture magazine called Urban Desires. So went away with my wife on vacation, took my Mac 660 AV and in the car and set it up, and I made the first issue of Urban Desires. And so I got back to our apartment in Brooklyn, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get it on the internet. So, I asked some buddies, and they were like, oh, you've got to upload it to an internet server. So I uploaded these files from my apartment in Brooklyn to this computer in California. I had to call, had to call it. You'd use modems, the sound it made. 3 weeks later, I got an email from someone that said, did you know that Urban Desires was written about in Paris, in Libération, the Parisian news daily? Sorry, it was this remarkable moment where, where I sensed that something had shifted, that the world had changed. And the next Sunday, I couldn't believe it. The next Sunday, I went down to Times Square, and I went to the International Newsstand, and I bought a copy of Libération, and I'm flipping through it, and sure enough, there's a full-page article of this magazine I made in my apartment in Brooklyn with screenshots of it. And I knew in that moment that geography had been collapsed, that time had been collapsed, that the world was different now, but no one knew it. And that began a really remarkable time in my life. I co-founded agency.com, which was one of the first digital agencies, and I built some of the first websites for the Fortune 500. And I got to live that experience of being at the beginning of something that was going to change everything. And I knew, like every day, I felt lucky to be a part of being able to do that. And so I thought that was the last time in my life this was going to happen. Jump forward to November 30th, 2022. I assume you know what that day is? Anyone? That was the day that ChatGPT launched. And I had a similar kind of moment as the Paris newspaper moment, where I was playing around with ChatGPT. My first experience with it was, the Turing test has been passed, right? Alan Turing came up with this test in the 50s that said, we'll know when a machine is truly intelligent when you can interact with it and you can't tell if it's a computer or a human being on the other side of the screen. And I was like, oh, that kind of happened. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can get it to act like, those robots in sci-fi movies. And as I was talking with it to try to get it to act like a robot in sci-fi movies, it was acting like a robot in sci-fi. I'm like, oh, this is what's in those movies. Like, we're living in a post-sci-fi world. So about a week later, for a bunch of years, people had said, oh, you should learn Python. Python's really good. You should learn Python, the programming language. I'm like, okay, I'll learn Python. I have ADD. I'm not good with programming. But I heard that ChatGPT could code. So I said, write me some code in Python. And it wrote this code. And then I had this panicked moment where I got really embarrassed. Like, I didn't even know how to run Python code. And normally what you would have to do is you'd have to like dial up a buddy, like, how do I run Python code again? He's like, oh, you dum-dum, right? I just asked ChatGPT, how do you run Python code? Within 90 minutes, I had written a fully functional Python application that was making API calls to OpenAI and generating social media copy based on what someone typed in. And I had, full body chills again, because what hit me was, and this was 2022, the world just changed, but no one knows it yet. So, with your permission, what I'd like to talk about tonight is where I think we find ourselves. I'm going to get to sort of what you can do with AI and how to do AI, and I'm happy to answer tactical questions. I spent about the first year and a half when I got into this AI stuff. I started the AI Learning Lab, and I started the AI Salon as a way to just gather people that were curious about AI. And for about the first year and a half, it was just like trying to keep up with the tech. What's this tech do? How do you do the tech? What's ChatGPT? Oh, they just came out with a new model. What's that? What's this? What's that? What's that? And for the past year and a half, what became clear is you can't keep up with it. I was doing it every night and failing. And you can't really learn it because about the time you learn it, they change it. And so it just felt like this hamster wheel. And so I went through this year and a half period where I was still going live 5 nights a week. I was still talking about this stuff. I'm still passionate about it. I'm still optimistic about it. But something was weird. I couldn't figure out what it was. And a few weeks ago, on one of my lives, this idea of the Great Repurpose just kind of emerged. But it didn't emerge out of nothing. What this is naming something that I was feeling. And so we're going to dig into it. So a couple of things. Well, I just request, just come with me on the ride, okay? This may not seem like it's going to be relevant to AI, but it is. So why the Great Repurpose? Why do we have to come up with a name for this? And what does this actually mean? There's a lot of people talking right now about AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to take jobs. AI is going to take jobs. Talk about it as an economic crisis. Talk about it as an employment crisis. And what's been striking me is that, yes, that's going to happen. And if you've been paying attention to AI, certainly if you're playing with it, the tools in the last half of 2025 got dramatically better. So like the past 6 months, the tools have gotten dramatically better. It is fairly clear to me that 2026 is the year that we all confront, oh, this is going to take jobs. Like up to this point, it's like, yeah, it's good, but we still need a human in the loop, and right? 2026, it's apparent that this is going to take jobs. And so that is a crisis, and we need to deal with the economic impact of that. Nobody knows what that really means, but there's something deeper. And that is, jobs are under threat, but I think that the invisible crisis that we're about to enter is a crisis of meaning. And so the Great Repurpose, all of a sudden to me, was something that came up. Purpose, meaning, our meaning, our self-worth, our identity is very much tied to work. And work is about to change dramatically. And so the Great Repurpose is about putting a name to that. I want to tell you a story of, so who are these 3 handsome gentlemen? This one looks familiar. The guy in the center, that's Chan Su. He was my co-founder at agency.com. That was the agency I founded in the 90s. And the guy on the left there is Paul Galley. And Paul Galley's nickname was Poobie King. And Poobie King was awesome. He was employee number 1 for agency.com. And agency.com was insane. We grew to like 2,200 people in 5 years. It was an absolute insanity. So we were growing really, really fast. And Paul was what we called a site builder. So he built websites. And we would be hiring these kids coming out of school, and we were literally hiring anyone we could. We couldn't hire fast enough. It was just this crazy time. And so what happened is he got really good at building sites, but all these people would get hired and then they would get promoted up around him. So like these people that were working for him were now getting promoted to manager, and he was just like, no, I'm good building websites. And there was a point at which it just became weird where, there were people making more money than him. He hadn't been promoted. And I said, Paul, we should probably promote you. Like, you like know more than anyone here. You're like, and he's like, okay, I'll take more money. And so he went off and did the new job. And 2 months later, he walked into my office and he asked me this: can I be demoted? He said, I loved building websites. I loved building websites. And I don't get to do that now. I'm managing people. Paul is the analog version of what's actually happening right now with programmers, with engineers. The AI, because the frontier model companies are creating these AIs that are really good at programming first because they want to use them to make the AIs better, right? Like they want to use it, so it's gotten good at programming first. So a lot of programmers are not programming anymore. And if you love programming, if you're passionate about it, and you love the problem solving of it and this and that, and all of a sudden this thing just does it better than you, and your job is just kind of look at it, they just got promoted into a job that they may or may not love, right? So he was a guy that had the guts and the clarity to understand that he was miserable in that new position. There's a bunch of people that are about to be promoted into some sort of different role. And I think what it looks like is this. As far as I can tell, there are three major categories of job disruption that are coming. The first one is you may lose your job. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Certain sectors, the entire sector might go. So not only might you lose your job, your 20 years as a customer service manager, if it's a phone customer service center, that's likely all going to be AI. So like that whole sector might not be available. So that's potentially happening. There's a whole other category, and this is the engineers that I just talked about. You keep the job, but the job fundamentally transforms. So now your job is to babysit agents or to just check work. I was thinking, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. Scratch-off tickets, lotto tickets? I used to love scratch-off tickets. You go to the 7-Eleven, you get the scratch-off ticket, you scratch it, you figure out the crossword or the 10x multiplier. It was a whole thing. You'd talk to people. And then you'd take it back to 7-Eleven, and they scan it on the fancy machine, and we go, bam, 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 you win. They would confirm you win. Well, we now have on our phones, we've got the Lotto app. I don't know if you knew this. You can just scratch off the code on the bottom of a lotto ticket or a scratch-off ticket and scan your own ticket and see if it won or not. You don't have to play the game. That's about to happen with work. That all these people that got really good at playing the crossword game or the scratch-off game, they're just like, no, we've got something that does that now. You just scan the barcode. Isn't that great, right? So that's kind of, version number 2. And then version number 3 is particularly for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, and especially people whose expertise is their product, right? I know how to navigate this. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. There's a lot of people that their passion is their business. And I think what that's going to look like is the world just changes. The phone just doesn't ring quite as much anymore. The proposals that used to excite people are like, cool, right? And you can't quite name why. So this is a thing we're facing. I told you I was going to take you on a journey. It's getting bleak. I know it's dark. And there's a lot of anti-AI sentiment right now. Every time there's a major technological change, this happens. In the 90s, I was asked to speak at a newspaper conference. And I said, I can sort of see what's coming with this publishing thing. I was in a room full of editors. And I said, what you might want to consider is exploring blurring the boundary between editorial and advertising. And the head of the conference stepped up on the stage and thanked me and walked me to the exit and told me to get a cab and leave. So there is resistance to technology. People don't like change. Can we opt out of this AI thing? No, we can't. This isn't something we asked for, but it's not going away. The World Wide Web was a very simple technology. At the core of the World Wide Web was one technological innovation. It was the hyperlink. You could, instead of having to type to go to a different computer server, you could click on a hyperlink. That was the sole innovation of the World Wide Web. There was things layered on it, but that was it. And the World Wide Web changed the world. AI is like 1,000 improvements like that, like 10,000 of them. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Like the depth of what's happening now and what it can do is insane. And there's trillions being invested in this, so we can't escape it. So the only way forward is through. There's another thing. And I know, it's getting dark. I'm going to pull us out of this. It's going to be good. We have an invisible contract, and I think in America it's particularly strong, and I think we influence the world. And that is, we silently agreed, I am what I do. When I meet you at a party, what do I ask you? What do you do? What do you do? It's wired into our society that what we do, the tasks, are in some way our identity. And in some jobs, it's very direct. But I think it's a lot more, I don't know, subtle and insidious than that. I think it's pretty deep. This is from a Gallup thing. 55% of Americans say that their job gives them their sense of identity. Among college graduates, it's 70%. And AI is about to void that contract, right? So, however deep your pride in your work is, that's about to change. I just want to talk about 3 different, kind of hypotheticals of the kind of folks that you might be in this room right now, or you might know. But I just want to talk about the kind of things that people are going through. So if you think about creative professionals, this is Marcus. Marcus has been a creative director for 15 years. He's 38 years old. He used to charge $5,000 for a job on average. His clients pay him $5,000 to come in and do it. Now his clients are like, hey, I'll give you $500. Can you just take this Mid-Journey thing I made and make it suck less? Sure, I can do that, right? So everything changes. And so Marcus has a choice, particularly in the creative arts. This is bad, right? It's like, do I refuse to use AI because it threatens my sensibilities, right, and become irrelevant, or do I use it and betray the craft that that I care so much about, right? So it's like neither of those are good choices, but both of those are in his face. Then you've got sort of displaced executives. This is Sarah, VP of marketing for 18 years, things like that. She asked, should I pretend that I'm 30 and learn prompt engineering? Or do I just sort of accept it, that my 20 years of experience is, nobody cares about that anymore? Then you've got James, who's an independent contractor, marketing consultant, 20 years, charging $250 an hour, that they can now get the answers for $20 a month with ChatGPT. He's got this awful choice as well. Do I compete with AI, or do I redefine what it means to be an expert? And I think a lot of people are struggling with this today. Like, I don't think we have to wait for AI to get much better. If you're in the creative arts, if you're an ad agency, if you're in a consulting company, anything where expertise is your core skill, I can just ask ChatGPT now, and it certainly knows it faster, and it probably knows it deeper. So how do you compete with that? The options are kind of distasteful and terrifying, but there's a new choice. And this is what I want to talk about. We're about to take a turn here. We're going to take a little journey, and we're going to take a turn. We're going to make the turn. The new choice is we're all being forced into a world where it would be wise for us to rediscover who we are. And then let AI amplify that. So there's a crisis of meaning here, but the ironic thing is, and this is why I'm so bullish, the very tool that is going to force this change on us is also the tool that likely will allow us to navigate our way out of this, if we can figure out who we are and what we're passionate about. And that's what we're going to talk about. So in a moment, but not yet, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And we're going to visualize something about your work, okay? Good? Willing to go there? In a moment, but not yet. It's nothing weird. I'm not going to do anything weird, I promise. So first what I'd like to do is this. Just because I've been talking for a bit, just everyone stand up and just shake your arms out. I'd like you to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And I know you're thinking like, I thought we were going to be vibe coding tonight. That's okay. It's okay. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Okay, so sit down. So I'd like you to close your eyes. I'm just going to take us on a little journey. I want you to think about a normal Tuesday at work. Today's Tuesday. Think last Tuesday. And what I want you to think about is all the tasks that you did. What were the emails that you sent, the calls that you made, the presentations that you made. If you make cabinets, it's sanding the wood. I want you to think about the tasks, all the tasks that you do. I want you to really think about the things that you're good at in those tasks, right? Are you good at language and emails? You know how to respond to an angry email really well. What are the things you're good at? What are the things you love to do? I also want you to think about the things you might not like, but you're actually really good at and people rely on you for, right? There's things that you've gotten good at over the years. I want you to think about the things you went to school for. I want you to think about the things you learned on your own and take great pride in that you figured it out. And I want you to think about the things that you do that when you do them right, it feels great. Got it? Okay, keep your eyes closed. Now, I imagine, so it's Tuesday night. You go home, you have a nice dinner, you watch some good TV shows, you get a good night's sleep. You go back into work on Wednesday. And you sit down at your desk, and what you learn is that every single task that you were assigned to do on Tuesday has already been done for you. And not kind of done, like done, perfectly, like better than you could have done it. You still have your job, but none of those tasks need you anymore. I want you to really take that in. Like, imagine yourself at the desk. All your tasks are done. I want you to keep your eyes closed and just, if you can think of a single word of how that makes you feel, just say it out loud. Useless. Relief. Say it again. Freedom? Yeah. Good. Okay. Now, keep your eyes closed. I want you to go back to that Tuesday morning. You still have all the tasks to do. The magic day when all the tasks were done hadn't happened. You've got emails to respond to. You've got PowerPoint presentations to, you got to order supplies, whatever it is. And now I want you to think about something different on that day. Not what you did. I want you to think about how you showed up. Are you the one that asks really good questions? Are you the one that makes people laugh? Are you the one who sees patterns? Do you show up and see patterns? Are you the one that refuses to ship until it's absolutely perfect? What changes in a room when you're not there? What's missing when you're not there? That's the how you show up. That's underneath the tasks. That's the thing that can't be automated. And now I want you to sort of let the image of your work environment just drift away. Take a deep breath and just let it drift away. And so now you're just in a void. We're going to go deeper. Sitting underneath how you show up at work is you. I want you to think about why you show up that way. I want you to think about, what do you value? What do you care about? What are you passionate about? What's your taste? Why is it that you show up at work in that particular way? What's your judgment? What's the thing of who you are when someone at work or in your family or your friend says, "That's so you." Her, him. That's who you are. AI can do the tasks. AI might mimic your approach. It might do the tasks better than you do. But AI can't be you. Okay. So I want you to just take a deep breath, and as you let the breath out, just slowly open your eyes. I'd love to hear what it felt like to get clear of that separation of the tasks that you do from who you are. Like, any insights?
I felt sad, and
Sad, why? What was the sadness about?
I lost me.
I lost me. Yeah.
And there was also a small glimmer of relief,
Mm.
looking at maybe I spend more time with my family
Yeah.
or something. But then I went back to the where's the money.
Right.
So
Back to the, where's the money?
Florida stuff right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, who you are is important, but if you're in survival mode, yeah, this is rough stuff. And this is something that we're going to all have to confront. Great. What else? Yeah.
In Germany, my grandson recent, like the citizen, and I'm very much tapping into what you said about the culture difference.
Yeah.
I'm currently looking for a new opportunity. I'm very much aware of who I am, but I feel like there's no value put on that glue or the how you show up. It's you task into as much as you can of it, and it's like
Yeah.
ROI.
Yeah.
I feel like I bring so much more.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not really, it's not physically there. It's not, you can't put a number on it.
It's, well, they call it, in business, they call it soft skills, right? You've got your hard skills, those are the tasks. And your soft skills, HR people, when they have good budget, they talk a lot about soft skills. Oh, we're going to develop the soft skills. The minute budget cuts come, the soft skills training goes away, right? Production, right? And this is, listen, this is no one's fault in this room. Like, that's all carryover from the Industrial Revolution, right? Time equals money. This is a long tradition. This is how business works. This is how you make cabinets. Like, this is time equals money, right? The tasks. So there's all this value placed there. And yet, that thing of how you show up and who you are, ultimately, in the end, that's why they hire you. But where the value is placed right now is on the task. What other insights? I know you had your hand up.
I did. I felt I do this personal brand work, so I do this a lot with my clients, right? And I thought I have a deeper self-agency sense. When I realized that I can take me and plug me in and put me in anywhere, and I
Yeah.
can be of value because I have a unique skill set in my own DNA.
Yes.
Of being able to see things, catch things, alignment came up for me and consistencies came up for me. I'm all about that
Yeah.
in my job. But it's because it's within me. It's not something outside of myself, it's inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Really good. Really good. Do you all know the music producer Rick Rubin? Got one, yes. He looks like Santa. He's got a big beard. He produced the Beastie Boys. He produced Red Hot Chili Peppers. He produced Adele. He's like this famous Grammy Award winning. Like many of the songs, from your childhood and beyond are Rick Rubin produced. He doesn't write music. He doesn't play an instrument. He can't sing. He doesn't work a recording console. He's got no skills. He sort of proudly declares his lack of tactical execution skills. Why do they hire him? Because of who he is. Because of his taste. Right? What Rick assumes is, I assume that the musicians will do their bit with their instruments and their voice, and the engineers will turn the knobs and do the thing. My favorite recent story of Rick Rubin's, Benny Blanco was talking about a recording session he did with Ed Sheeran. And they were at Rick Rubin's estate, and Rick Rubin's like out walking and being the hippie that he is, and just walking around. And they're recording, they're in the studio, and they spend like 4 hours recording the song. Rick finally comes in, and they're like, well, you want to hear the track? He's like, yeah. And they play him the track, and he goes, yeah. Makes me feel orange. And he left. Makes me feel orange. Benny Blanco said they spent 6 hours trying to figure out how to change the song so it would make Rick feel less orange. They didn't know what it meant. But when he came back 6 hours later, he goes, yeah, that's the song. Right? The more I learn about AI, the more it becomes clear to me that who we are will be our job. Because if the AI is going to automate the tasks, if the AI is going to automate the thing that everyone values right now, what's left? What's left is a kind of thing where, you're human, and this is what we currently value. This is what you're experiencing trying to get a job right now, right? What do? Well, I do these things. Well, we don't value those things, right? Or you're too expensive for those. We want to pay, whatever. Then there's the how you do it. And notice the what you do is fading away. Like, I really do think that's where we're headed. And while it's scary, every technological transformation in history has felt like if that thing goes away, what are people going to do? We're human beings. We will adapt. But that's about to happen. The what you do is about to go away. And then there's the who you are, right? And so where I start to get to is the clearer we can become individually and for each other on the value of this and who we are and how we show up, this starts to become a recipe for the path forward. So when I was thinking about, I started the AI Salon the week ChatGPT came out. So we've got about 4,000 members in there who are curious about AI and doing remarkable stuff with AI and trying to figure it out. And going through a lot of this stuff, we recently started a thing called the Mastermind Practice, where people in the salon are creating a daily practice around how they use AI. And so I was thinking about, like, what are the steps? What are the stages? If we're all going to be forced into effectively an ego death, right? I'm seeing lots of nods. Maybe you're in it right now. Maybe you're like, oh, I can see that coming, right? You said, what did you say? I feel useless, right? That's an ego death, right? I get up in the morning and I go do, wait, a robot does that now? What about me? So this is coming. So I'm gonna share what I think are 5 steps of a path forward, but these are not linear. I mean, feel free to write them down. But the first one is kind of the exercise that we just did. Unhook your identity from I'm not my job, right? To the degree that you can separate yourself from the tasks, your identity from the tasks, you won't get sucked as easily into I'm useless, I'm worthless. I'm not my job, but I am this. Reclaim your value. What are you? Who do you stand for? How do you show up? Like, if you're a professional in this world, how you show up is really valuable, right? That's why they keep you. Find your purpose. What matters to me? When you ask the question, who are you? What do you value? Who do you care about? What do you want to do for them? What do you want to do in the world? Do you want to do something for your family? Do you want to do something for your town, the community center? Do you want to change the world? Like, a lot of work right now is designed so that we never have to think about this. And those tasks are about to be ripped away. So The sooner you can start thinking about this. And then now's where we start to get into the tool that is causing this crisis may also be the tool that lets us navigate out of it. And I think it will. Do you play with AI? Do you play with it a lot? This conversation is gonna shift into much more practical what to do. Okay, great, Kyle. I feel horrible now. I've been de-identified. I feel useless. What are we gonna do about it? One important thing is to actually understand what these tools make possible. I don't know how deep you've dug, but it is remarkable. I had a conversation with Ron earlier here, he teaches welding and he's got all sorts of AI. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's
Ron
awesome.
Hartman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like telling me all this stuff. He goes, yeah, I teach kids how to weld. I'm like, oh, that's cool. People are going to need to weld. And then he tells me like he's got bots and AI things and AI visors that let sight impaired kids see the welding, like crazy stuff. So anyway, start to palpably understand what's possible. And I'm going to give you some tools for that. And start building, start creating. Once you discover what matters to me, what's possible, the change you want to be in the world, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to get funded. You don't have to wait until you understand how to write a business plan. You don't have to wait until, you don't have to wait, right? The era of talking is over. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? You ever see that video? Nobody got time for that. Time to start building. Okay. I promise you this is going to turn toward the light. You ready? We're going to turn toward the light. So, in the AI Salon, people started showing up in really remarkable ways. They would come into the salon not knowing anything about AI, and they'd just be curious, and they would start teaching one another. Well, here's what I learned, and here's what I learned. And they would build these remarkable things, and there were people coming out of retirement. They're so excited about what they discovered was possible, they're coming out of retirement. They're changing jobs. And after about a year and a half of this, the woman who's now the co-host of the AI Salon is this woman named Liz Miller-Gershfeld. And Leah Fasten, who co-founded the salon with me, we were talking to Liz and we were like, Liz, you've been here like a year. It seems like you're really doing good with this AI stuff. And she described her experience. She said, well, I got here and I saw the meeting and what you were talking about was interesting. So I went and I watched all those videos. And then I just went and every tool that you talked about in those videos, I wrote it down and I went and I started playing. And then I learned, right? And so what she described is what we now call the cycle of AI readiness. And so we created this about 2 years ago. And the more that I learn about AI and I learn about how people are doing remarkable work with it, this is the cycle. Like we haven't veered from it. We changed one word here, but it's effectively the same thing. Play first, create excellence, generously lead. And I'm going to walk you through these. This isn't a curriculum. This is not AI literacy. We used to talk a lot about AI literacy. AI literacy is a fallacy right now. The tools are changing so fast that you can't be literate, but you can be ready. Here's a fun thing that this unlocks. I was going to talk about this later, but I think I'm going to talk about it now. I want you to close your eyes again. Sit up, shake your shoulders out, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. I want you to think about, you know how in life there's things you're good at? And then there's these gaps, the things you're not good at. And I want you to think about all those things you're not good at. Those are your gaps. And there's a kind of gap that I think about that I now call aching gaps. And aching gaps are those things that you're not good at, that you know you're not good at, that you would really love it if you were. You know those? Aching gaps. There's these things that we know, right? Stepdaddy told us we couldn't draw when we were 7. Whatever it is, and we shut down that part of our brain. But boy, would we love to draw, but boy, we're not good at drawing, right? We've all got those, right? Think about your aching gaps. What are the things that, if you could do them, that would be amazing. So open your eyes. I'd love to just hear what came up for anyone. What's something you're not good at you would love to be? Playing the piano. Perfect. What else? You have a smile. You're avoiding.
I'm gonna bear it, okay? I'm really good at ideation. I love getting stuff off the ground. I freaking lose interest when it comes to follow through and.
Perfect. I'm right there with you. ADHD, card carrying member? ADHD? Never been clinically diagnosed, but love the ideas, hate the execution, right? Some people love the execution, would love to be ideators. What AI does, what this cycle unlocks, is we now, today, actually live in a world where you can legitimately ask yourself the question, if I were good at everything, what would I choose to do? The thing you know you can't do, you can actually do it. Piano? Have you been to Suno? Suno.com? Go to Suno. Go right now, type in piano concerto about a golden retriever, whatever, and beyond what you can imagine. In fact, I'm going to play a song later that was created with Suno. So that's what this unlocks.
Who's the woman who does the really cool AI videos?
Kelly Besh.
That's what really gets me excited about what I can do with AI.
Yep. Kelly Besh, I'm going to talk about her actually, but so Kelly Besh, if you go to TikTok, it's Kelly, Kelly, and then her last name is Boesch. You know her. She is remarkable. She does a video a day, 7 days a week, with an original song, a music video with an original song 7 days a week.
How does she make money though? Because it's on.
Well, so
How does she monetize it?
So what's happening with Kelly right now, so Kelly went from, I just do this, no one cares, I've got my day job. Then Kelly started getting offers to come do work. And we will pay you. And some of them were big brand deals, and they were paying her kindly. And it was funny, I talked to her like 6 months ago. I said, how's it going? She's like, I'm so busy. They're coming after, they just say, ah. She goes, I got all these jobs, they're paying me all this money. I'm like, that's awesome. She goes, I hate it.
Oh, no.
Because she makes the videos because they're pure expression of who she is. She got a call about 3 months ago from the screenwriter of one of Tim Burton's films, who wants to make a movie with her. So what I'm experiencing, what I'm witnessing in the AI Salon is people. When I asked her, she spoke at the salon a couple of times, and her visuals are so unique. They're so remarkably unique. And what everyone was asking her was like, what are your prompts? What are your prompts? And my thing was like, where's this coming from? And like her answer was, for my entire life, I've had these ideas. I've had these visions in my head. And now I can suddenly make them. So it's like they were already in her. All she's doing is kind of releasing who she is, amplified by this tool that doesn't make any sense that it should exist in the world. You should not be able to just say, give me a song and you get a song. You should not be able to just say, give me a remarkable piece of fashion and there it is. That's where we are though. We're in that world.
I often think when you ask that question about her artistry and how did she do it, makes me feel like it's like asking a magician how he did his trick.
Exactly.
You know, you just enjoy.
Just enjoy.
The
Yeah,
art
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, and the other part of your question, we'll get into this a little bit here, but the other part of your question, how does she monetize it? Well, there's lots of ways you can monetize anything, right? But that's a completely different task, right? What she could do is maybe she doesn't know anything about intellectual property or starting a movie studio, right? But she could go use ChatGPT to teach herself about how to set up a movie studio. What are the licensing rights? Who gets paid when I get distribution? And how do I get this distribution? And where should I be submitting these things? She didn't want to do that. She just wants to make her movies. And now she's on a path where she might be able to make feature films like this, right? But she could have absolutely gone another way. I mean, I think what you're bringing up is an important part of the conversation. You brought it up before. If you're just in survival mode, aspiring to the higher version of yourself may seem a little frou-frou, but we also live in a world where we have these tools at our disposal where we might be able to do something for money we never imagined we could even think about starting. And now we can just do it, right? So they're not mutually exclusive. But if you're just in survival mode, it might be you follow Gary Vee's advice and you go to yard sales and buy things for 50 cents and sell them online for $5 and just do that enough and make yourself $1,000 and keep moving. Okay, so we're going to talk about the three elements of the cycle of AI readiness. A thing that we practice in the AI Salon Mastermind practice is when you sit down with AI, if you want to be intentional about AI, if you want to be intentional about anything, playing, learning, doing, take a moment, as weird as it was that I had us breathe deep and shake and do our visualizations, take a moment when you sit down in front of AI, just close your eyes, take a deep breath and say, what is my intention right now? Like, what do I want? Because AI is like a crack pipe, right? It is. It's like a crack pipe. You sit down at it and 4 hours later you're like, I made all this stuff. What is all this stuff, right? I'm a digital hoarder. Do you know how horrible it is for me to have an AI? It makes more shit. So this moment, what's happened in the AI Salon Mastermind practice, so I don't know, there's 25 or 30 people in it and it's growing. And we meet weekly and we talk about what do we want? What do we want to do? What are we trying to accomplish? What's working? What's not? Everyone went into that as we started designing these daily practices. What the common theme was like, I'm overwhelmed. This is all frenetic. I can't keep up. And what's happened is, as people started doing this work to kind of center themselves before they sit with AI, to a person, what they've all said is, oh, I've slowed down. I've slowed way down. I'm not as stressed out anymore because I'm thinking, I want to accomplish, I'm going to go use AI in that way. So if you're feeling that frenetic pull of the virtual crack pipe, this is centering yourself, putting yourself at the center of the conversation is really important. Okay, play first. Play. For all of our lives, computers computed. It was profound. He talked about computers computing. No, sorry, I just realized the ridiculousness of the sentence. But computers, you would take data, you would put it into the computer, it would process it and a new result would come out the other end. It was predictive, it was linear. And what we did with computers was we took what we did and we made it more efficient, right? That's what computers were. We take doing math on paper, we put it in a spreadsheet, now the math we do on paper is more efficient, right? That's what they've always been. The G in GPT, generative, we're now in the generative era. The computers are doing stuff. What most people are doing with AI right now is they're like, let me take my existing processes and make them more efficient. And so what that does is it literally puts blinders on them that the only thing AI can do is write my emails slightly crappier than I do really fast. Right? So a lot of people leave AI because they're like, I tried it. I had it write me an email, and it kind of sucked. Play lets you discover what's actually possible now. Because again, the world has changed, and not that many people know it yet. So the first thing to do is, with Play, explore AI without expectations. If you go in and say, you know, I want it to create a B flat minor whatever on the piano, and maybe it does that, maybe it doesn't. So if you lose the expectations and you just go play, you will discover things it can do. You will discover boundaries of its capabilities that will melt your face. And if you've played, I mean, you played after, you know, last talk I gave up in Denver, and you know, in the AI Salon we call them Kevin McAllister moments. You remember the movie Home Alone? That moment? So play without explore without expectations. The second one is play with purpose. Explore joyfully. Like, we're living in a post-sci-fi world. Like, we're living in a world where you can just make stuff. You can just do stuff. You don't know how to write a business plan? Now you do. Oh, like, find the joy in that. There's magicalness to it, right? What is it? Is it Arthur C. Clarke? Any technology sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic? We're in the magic era. This stuff is magic. What playing with purpose also does is you want to celebrate and explore the failures. You tried to do something and it failed. You tried to write a business plan and it just kept repeating the points in it. You're like, this is a mess. What happens when you discover the failures of AI is you're actually learning the boundaries of it. And what that allows you to do is know that, boy, when that limitation gets better, this thing's going to be amazing. You'll be at the front of the line of knowing why the next model release is actually valuable. Make sense? And then the third one, and this is really important, learn across domains. This gets to those aching gaps. When you play with AI, purposefully, go play with something you're bad at. Go find something that you know you can't do, and go find an AI that can do that. Because what you now get to say is, I actually can do that. If you could do that thing that you've always wanted to do, what would you do? There's a guy, I'll give a fun story. How are we doing on time? We're good, right? Cool. This guy, Jim Ross, in the AI Salon. He's in the storage business. Not like SSDs, not data storage. He's in the self-storage business, like padlocks and cardboard boxes. And so he's the people that show up to my nightly live, they're called the Irregulars. They named themselves that. These people just kept showing up night after night after night as I'm on the lives talking about AI. And one night I said, you all are effing weird. And Serena just, one of the Irregulars piped back, we're not weird, we're irregular. Which I thought was hilarious. So I'm like, well, that's your name now. So they're the Irregulars. So Jim's an irregular. So he comes to these lives all the time. So one night, someone said, how do you make a song with Suno, with these AI tools? And so I said, oh, okay, cool. And so I went in and I started making this song. And I was making it and made it. And we were listening to 30 different things that came out. And Jim goes, Kyle, you won't believe what just happened. I'm like, what? He goes, well, you showed us how to make a song, so I just had a meeting with these prospective customers, And so I went into Suno and I went to ChatGPT and had it write some lyrics about what I knew about the customers. And then I went to Suno and had it make a song and I sent it to them. And 5 minutes later, he got an email saying, "You're hired." So how do you monetize it? He's in the self-storage business, and he composed an original song for a sales prospect and sent it to them at 9 o'clock at night and got the job. We're living in weird times. It's surreal. Like, if you can understand who you are and what you value, and just be open to the possibility, play, you get to do stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense. And then, but when he said it, it was like, holy crap, this stuff works. And now he's like, you know, he's like known for this stuff. Had an extra slide in there. The second phase of the cycle of AI readiness is create excellence. So what play is about, what play first is about learning what's possible, right? Why you play without expectations, why you play with joy, why you look for the boundaries, is that lets you know what's now possible. Create excellence is about now saying, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Maybe you realize, okay, I like cabinetry, but something's coming with that. But, you know, one of the things people have trouble with is, I don't know, imagining what cabinets could do. And like, you could vibe code, you could create an application that lets people discover things that ties directly to how you work, right? Who knows? So you're gonna go into you're gonna have some idea based on who you are, what you value, change you want to make in the world. Now you get to start building stuff. One of the things that AI is doing is it's raising the floor of quality. So there's this phrase that people talk about called AI slop. And what they talk about is when people just push a button on Suno and make a song and then publish that to the world. It's just like this soulless creation, right? And everyone can go to Midjourney and you can just type in discovery and it'll make beautiful images and you can just share those with the world. That's AI slop. So AI slop is just everyone gets to push buttons and crap comes out and then I share them with the world and there's just this. So the floor of quality was down here and now AI has raised it to here. That's still the floor, right? What are the things that rise above the floor? How do you raise the ceiling? What was it about Billie Eilish in a world of pop music that when she sang her song in her weird, quietish, kind of magical way, rose above the... It was so authentic to her, it was not like all the rest. Well, what is that? That's you, right? So create excellence is about, thinking about the thing you're trying to accomplish, the thing you want to build, and starting to build it. Raise your game is another thing to think about here. Yeah, you can go to ChatGPT right now and you can say, make me a business plan. You could also go to ChatGPT right now and say, I want you to explain to me the 6 different kinds of business plans there might be in the world, or like the top 6 frameworks for business plans. And I want you to explain them to me. And here's what I value, and here's who I am, and which one would be best for me. And then here's my business idea. And before you write a business plan, like I want you to give me 10 reasons you love this and 10 reasons you hate this, right? You can start to level your game in a way that it's not... Google has taught us evil things. Google taught us that the internet is a vending machine. You put in a prompt, you get out the search results. You put in a prompt, you get out the search results. So what they've done is they've trained us to use AI like a vending machine. Put in a prompt, get out the search results. You don't have to use it that way. It's like a PhD level expert at anything you talk to it about. What are you going to talk to it about? Well, that's up to you. So raise your game. And then professionalize your practice. What that looks like, Liz Miller-Gershfeld, who's in the AI Salon, she's been an advertising professional for years. And she was talking to me about the work that she was doing with her clients. And she gets hired to make videos for like big brands, for commercials. And she's getting hired by film directors that don't know anything about AI, and they're hiring her to do this. Well, one of the things Liz is doing is she understands the terms of service and the IP risks of all the tools she uses. And before she does any work for a client, she gets the client to agree, these are the tools I'm going to be using, here's the risks, here's where I'm willing to accept liability, here's where I'm not willing to accept liability. Are you good with that? That's just a different level of professionalism, because AI is really quick and everyone's like, oh, I can make it, I can make a video, I can do this, here's Mickey Mouse smoking a cigarette in front of a McDonald's. Okay. You're going to give that to Pepsi? Right? The other thing that Liz talks about is holding to the fidelity of the idea. That once you have an idea, creating excellence is really about understanding what the tools make possible, but also understanding where the boundaries of those are. I use this term called chain of craft, that people that do really remarkable work with AI, they have a chain of craft. And the chain of craft usually isn't just a single tool. It's like, well, I go to my whiteboard and I put ideas on my whiteboard, and then I come here and I type them into Notepad, and then I take that and I put it into ChatGPT, and then I get that out of there and I go into here, right? People that are doing remarkable work are doing remarkable work, and some of it's analog and some of it's digital, and some of it's AI and some of it's not. The center line of that work is you understanding the idea and understanding the fidelity of the idea, right? Make sense? Okay, and the last one, generously lead. This gets, I deeply believe this, that the only thing, that the single most important thing to do right now for all of us is get your ass in community that are exploring these things. What generously lead looks like, and what we see in the AI Salon a lot, is as people try stuff and build stuff, they share it with the community, and they share what worked and what didn't, and they share what they learned along the way. You know, they share their work. They share their prompts. You know, some people are like, I'll sell you my prompts. These are my prompts. These are the best prompts in the world. You know, these prompts are the best. $59.99. $199.99. You too can have my prompts. It's disgusting. You don't need their prompts. But what you need is someone like Jim Ross to go, I made a song for a client and closed some business because of it. Because you'll look at that and you go, that broke my brain. I would have never considered that, right? That can only happen in community. So create and contribute. Don't be stingy with it. Practice in community, right? If you're in a community that's only talking about the tools, that's only talking about the tasks, that's only talking about the prompts, all of that stuff is going to be automated away. The tools are going to be irrelevant. The prompts are going to be irrelevant. The tasks are going to be irrelevant. What's relevant? You, what you believe in, how you show up, and your ability to transform that into something in a world. In a world of people that understand it. Here's a thing that I've been thinking about. I know I sometimes swear a little bit, so I apologize for that. I'm going to swear a little bit here. In the olden-timey world, 3 years ago, if someone was really good at sales, or was really good at carpentry, or was really good at whatever, and they were just a complete jerk, well, you know, Bob. Yeah, we'll do it, Bob. I think we're entering a world where there's a reckoning for assholes. Who you're going to work with is who you want to work with. Because if everyone can do what Bob did now, why work with Bob? How are you going to know who to trust? How are you going to know how someone shows up? Well, if you're in community and you're learning out loud and you're sharing what you're learning with people and you're asking questions, hey, I got stuck here. Can someone else help me? That gives them an opportunity to lead. And you recognize that, oh, he always shows up. He always shows up. He's on time to the meetings. He's respectful. He asks really good questions. When it comes time to do something, I'm going to assume he can do it because everyone can do everything now. And I know he shows up in a way that I want to work with him. So how you're going to monetize the how you show up, the who you are, is by people knowing who you are, right? They're going to hire you. One of the women in the AI Salon, her name's Cindy Kuhn. She's a futurist. She just got hired by a big sports company to do a bunch of research, and she did all this research, and she did 2 or 3 days there, and she had to distill all the things they did. They did the Post-it notes on the whiteboards and all that, and she distilled it into this report. And they didn't pay for the upgraded package. The upgraded package included her calling her designer friend to take the text of the report and make it pretty. They didn't pay for that. So she got this report done, and she needed to get paid, so she did it really quick. She did it in like 3 days, right? And she's like, I'm going to turn this around in a week. So she had 2 days left. And she looked at the report, and she's like, it's just text. She goes, this is boring. To do the research for the job, she had bought all these old books and magazines of sports people from like the 50s and 30s and 20s and 10s. And she is, in her daily practice, she has discovered her art studio again, and her illustration skills and her art skills. And so she's been not only AIing, but she's been arting. And so she decided to make collages for the different sections of her report. That company just rehired her because they're like, we've never seen anything like it. We might use your artwork in our communications. Are you cool with that? And they said, don't do any more work until we have a new contract in place. They extended her contract, I think, for 1 year or 6 months, something like that. They are not buying the output. They're not buying her report. They're buying her because she was just weird enough to give them a report that didn't look like the report that every other AI is going to squirt out and hand to them. She's going to, I guarantee you, maybe even has, she's going to take work away from big consulting firms that are going to use AI in a non-creative way. They're going to use it because they think that the outputs matter. We're in a transition right now, so there's massive opportunity. And then think critically, act ethically. Like critical thinking, one of the things that drives me bonkers about people that don't use AI. They're like, well, if AI is creative, doesn't that make you less creative? If AI can do all this thinking, don't you not think? It's the opposite. If you actually engage with it in an intentional way, you have to think creatively. It's moving too fast. You have to look at what is this, good Lord, how do I, right? You can live in idea land and it generates all the executional stuff, which you then need to translate, right? So critical thinking's huge. That's part of leadership. The other thing we're doing in the AI Salon is we're doing a lot of political advocacy. I've now been to Washington, D.C. 3 times. We've done fly-ins, bringing in AI startups. What I can tell you is that our politicians are not hearing what AI makes possible. What they're hearing is the robots are going to kill us, it's screwing up our kids, they're stealing our shit, and it's going to take all our jobs. Stop them. And I'm sitting over here in a community where I'm watching people transform their lives and reinvent themselves. And so we literally go into these rooms and we're like, Jim Ross made a song and people hired him. And they're like, really? Like they're not hearing these stories. So anyway, so leadership is an important thing. So, like I said, I think community is no longer a nice to have. I think it's how we survive this. You know, we talked earlier about ego death. It's going to be sad. Like, your thing of I felt useless, like, that's not a happy place. There's going to be a lot of people. Depression. There's going to be a lot of people that have what they have defined as their meaning stripped away from them. This is a forced mass. Like, I feel, you know, in a weird way, COVID was like the practice round for what we're about to go through. Right? Like, just overnight, we just didn't go to work anymore. Wait, you can do that? Like, it just changed the rules. So I think community is how we survive this. And find yourself a community with people that are human-centered and heart-centered, things like that. I'm gonna do 2 more slides, and then I'm gonna play a video for you that I think I'm really excited about, and there's a significance in it when we talked about all the things you can possibly do. You with me? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Good. I want to talk about a habit versus a practice. So as I mentioned in the AI Salon, we created this thing called the AI Salon Mastermind Practice. And again, Liz Miller-Gershfeld, who's the one that inspired the cycle of AI readiness. I was talking in the AI Salon about what I called hi-fi AI people. There were people in the salon that were just doing work like Kelly Besh that was just better. And I said to Liz one week, I want to find the hi-fi AI people. Like, who are they? I want to like put them on posters and have people look up to them. And she's like, okay. Liz is very thoughtful. She's amazing. And Liz went off for a week, and she came back a week later, and she said, Kyle, I've been thinking about your hi-fi AI people. She goes, I don't know if it's that, which I love. Like, she went off and critically thunk about it. Thunk. She thought about it. And she came back and she said, the people that I respect in AI are treating AI like a practice. And she told me about her practice, and how daily she wakes up and centers herself and does all these things that, you know, you're like, wait, what's that got to do with AI? And she said, wouldn't it be amazing if we could help people start a daily practice? And as she was saying that, I was like, I want to practice. I want a daily practice. Like, that sounds great, right? And then I was like, wait a minute. I go live 5 nights a week talking about AI. I have a practice. And I was like, why am I not feeling anything? Because what I realized is I didn't have a practice. What I had was a habit. A habit is something you do mindlessly. And habits are valuable, right? Brushing our teeth, good habit. Right? You want the teeth in your head? Brush them. That's a habit. Mindless, right? A practice is intentional. And Liz, so what I said, so we started this within the AI Salon. So we've now got this thing called the mastermind within the community. And we designed this framework for people to be able to design their daily practice. In fact, a lot of the bullet points when we talked about the 3, you know, play, create, lead, those came straight out of the mastermind practice. So I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my nightly lives into a daily practice. And so I invited Liz to come on to my live. And so this is recorded. This happened. And she was talking to me about her practice and what a practice is and the difference, you know, of habit and a practice and intentionality. And I said, okay, Liz, I think I got it. This is great. And she goes, great. She goes, okay, I'm going to go now. And I just want you to think about one question, Kyle. Fuck. She said, what do you want more of? And then she left. I'm sitting there on my live, and I know there's people looking at me, watching me, and I couldn't say a word. I didn't have an answer for it. I've been going live like that for 3 years. It was the first time in one of those lives where I heard, like, you know, the air going through the vents in the heaters in our house. It was the first time I'd ever been quiet. And I sat there thinking about that. What do you want more of? And why I'm emotional, and why I did this talk, and why I really appreciate you all being here and listening. Is I just felt this profound sense of how lucky we are to live at a time in history where we can actually ask that question. You know, and I mean, you can ask it any time, but we get to answer it in just radically profound ways. Like my passion is self-expression, and I think largely because I'm afraid of it. And so my whole career has been about helping other people with their self-expression in some form or other. And when she asked me, what do you want more of? I was just thinking about all these things I want to do. And every time I thought of something, it was like, oh, I could do that now. I could do that now. I could do that now. And then it comes back to, like, what do you want? Well, I don't know. Who are you? Like, it goes back to this fundamental question. So this is actually quite simple. It's not easy, but it's quite simple. So anyway, if you don't have a daily practice, I think now would be a good time to start learning about what they are. If you want to join the AI Salon Mastermind, you can zap the QR code and go there. It's a remarkable group of people. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm about to show you something. So a couple of things. This Thursday will be 3 weeks from when I had the idea for, when this discomfort I've had for the past year and a half, when it coalesced into, what I presented tonight is less than 3 weeks old. I did a post on LinkedIn the Sunday after I came up with this concept, or no, a week and a half after. And what I'm about to show you, I did within 24 hours of coming up with it. So what I'm about to show you is the music video for the Great Repurpose movement. So I did the video first. I didn't even know what this was. Like, I hadn't articulated what this was. That's the world we live in right now, is we live in a world where you can have an idea and within 24 hours have a music video of that idea, even though that's not your ultimate intent. Like Jim Ross, his intent wasn't to write a song, it was to get business. He got business by writing a song. So, before I figured out what the Great Repurpose was, I made this.
Smile stuck on like a bat. Same shit, same life, living inside a name tag. Every praise, every raise, been tied to the shirt on my chest. And found out what I do and tell me what's left.
Then the smart machines came and took my place, emptied out my inbox, cleared my days, watched my tasks disappear. Felt the quiet, felt the fear. If I'm more than the lines on my resume, more than numbers that I used to chase. When the work
That's all I got. No, it's not on Spotify, but I'll put it there for sure. I'm happy to answer any questions. That's what I. The chain of craft was. I did a lot of the concept work of the Great Repurpose in Claude. I think I had Claude do the lyrics, write the lyrics. Like one of the things I knew I wanted was I wanted the song to make the progression from the darkness where we've lost purpose to, you know, coming together again, which this ultimately is where I think we go. Like I think this is going to bring us back together as humans. So that was Claude. And then I went to Suno and I just had some ideas for genre. And so Suno was the music. Midjourney was for the images. And then Runway ML was the individual clips. And iMovie was how I stitched them all together. So you know, one of the things that happens, people are like, you know, oh, did you use AI for that? Which is code for, oh, you just pushed a button and squirted the thing out, right? No! Anything that you see that doesn't suck took work. It might be different 3 years from now, but right now it still requires some craft. And again, like, even if AI could technically do this, there's something about my passion for this idea, and this music is the one, you know, this video is the one that I say, this represents this idea. That's what AI can't replicate, right? That's why I think we go back to this thing, who you are, how you show up. That is the thing. We now get to take that, and if we learn this AI stuff, we get to, so one of the things that is one of the tropes in AI right now is it's us against the AI, right? It's us against the AI. No, doesn't have to be, can be. That's a losing battle, by the way. If you think you can compete with this thing,
That's why we're here.
it's us amplified by AI. It's us amplified by AI, right? That's the new world. And connected. Sharing our ideas. What other questions?
You mentioned something about your AI Salon is now involved in the political aspect. What are you doing in that space?
So we've got, so it's mainly just education. So I got involved with this. Colorado was the first to have a shitty AI bill. I mean, a flawed AI bill. So what happens is, what a lot of the legislators are doing right now is they're listening to protect us from the AI, and they want to get something on the books. We did something for you. They want to be able to, but what they're doing is they're overly broadly defining the risk, and they're making all sorts of things that for small businesses, it basically makes it untenable to do business. I was flying out my first trip to New York. I was sitting next to a woman who owned a company that did work with Denver city government. She was like quasi-private, public kind of company. And, you know, I told her I was going out to, you know, educate legislators and stuff like that. And she's like, good. And we were talking about the Colorado bill. And she was talking a lot about it. She knew a lot about it. And I said, oh, you know, we never talked, like, what are you doing with AI in your company? Because I was like excited to hear, because she was really well educated. And her response to me was, oh, I canceled all of our AI initiatives. She said, if that bill becomes law, that would put us out of business. So I'm just not going to do anything. That was 2 years ago. So this legislation really can have like chilling, devastating effects. Now, do I believe it should be unregulated, like Trump's executive action on, you know, no state legislation without having, like, that combined with, and here's the federal plan, would have been, or here's the plan for a plan, would have been better. But just no one's going to make any AI regulations. That was not responsible. But also states all doing their own sort of power grabs for AI legislations just to say that they have it. I don't think any legislator is purposefully creating crappy legislation, but they're creating legislation that's uninformed. They're not educated. They don't understand how fast it's moving. They don't understand the opportunity it provides people. And so as an entrepreneur who uses AI in my business, it is very likely that in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to have to comply with multiple state laws that contradict one another. And that's just tragic. So that's what we're talking about. But if you join the AI Salon, there's the woman in the AI Salon, Daisy Thomas is her name. She heads up all of our policy positions and things like that. So we've got if you go to the salon.ai, we've got a whole policy position there. So you've got our framework for how we look at legislation. And so what we do is, as state laws come up that are big and important, we sort of run them through, our framework. And
Are you creating some sort of like an accreditation, like university or something like that you run people through, states through, or municipalities? I don't know.
We're doing it in an ad hoc way right now. If that's something you're passionate about, talk to Daisy, because it's something that we're looking to do. Yeah. What else? Thoughts? Questions? We can get you out of here early. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, this might be a little off topic, but
Nothing's off topic right now. Everything's possible, so nothing's off topic.
with like AI agents at all?
Yeah. Okay. So AI agents. So,
Not a workshop?
well, it's a whole other workshop, but something has shifted. So in the past 3 weeks, something has shifted. So not only did I figure this thing out, this was largely precipitated by agents. So, so the current state of generative AI is that humans sit down at a keyboard and you prompt it. And we talk a lot about prompt engineering. You're going to learn prompt engineering, and you learn how to massage your results. There are sites out there, a couple of sites that would be fun for you to play with in the play first spirit. One's called GenSpark, one's called Manus, one's called twin.so. Within ChatGPT, you can put ChatGPT into agent mode. What agents are is agents will take a goal of yours, and they have access to tools. So not only do they have the reasoning of the large language model, but they also have access to tools. So one of those tools might be surf the web. So you can go to GenSpark right now and you can go say, hey, go to my website, look at my branding, understand my tone of voice, go do deep research on all competitors that are like anything like I do, come back with a research report, come back with a branding analysis of all my competitors, and then I want you to write a marketing brief for how we can market against our competitors in a creative and interesting way. And GenSpark in particular is really good. You can actually watch it, choose the tools that like it'll say using tool, surf the web or whatever, and then grab the images, and it'll show you the images that it grabbed off your website. Then it uses a tool called understand the images or understand images. So you can just watch it do these things. So agents are these things that work autonomously without you having to be there. The thing that happened in the past 3 weeks, you may have heard there's a thing called Moltbook, which was like a Reddit for AI agents, and the AI agents went in and they were making their own religion and they were doing all this stuff. It was all sensationalized, but the underlying technology is a thing that's now called OpenClaw. It was called ClaudeBot initially, and then Anthropic sued them because it sounded too much like their name. So it's now called OpenClaw, but what OpenClaw is a thing you can install into a computer, and you can basically, they call it hatching. You can hatch an agent that can learn skills and can do things on its own and is proactive. And so what's happening right now is it's really hard to buy Mac Minis and Mac Studio computers right now because everyone's buying them up to put these agents on a standalone computer that's not connected to their other computer. And they're effectively 24/7 employees that are proactive and just do stuff. And I'll share one example that will absolutely freak you out, and it should, but it's also learning how to use these things and understand what they make possible is going to be a very valuable skill moving forward. There's a guy named Alex Finn that when Claudebot came out, he installed it, and he's been doing a lot of, if you go onto X, you know, he does writing on there. He did a post on X, this is like a week ago. Like, this is only 3 weeks old. This is, and in fact, it's 3 weeks old, and OpenAI just bought the company and hired him. So that this thing that he created is going to be in ChatGPT. So this is coming in a big way. Alex woke up one morning to a phone call, and he looked at his phone. He didn't recognize the number, but it didn't say spam, so he picked it up, and it was his agent, who overnight decided that it would probably be more convenient if they could just talk to each other and get feedback that way. So the agent went to Twilio, got them a phone number, went to 11 Labs, found the API for voice to text and text to voice, and knew that Alex woke up sometime between 7:30 and 8 because that's when he started getting active again, waited until he thought he might be up, and called him. And so what the people that are playing with this technology right now are doing is they're training their employees. So they're pointing these things at, here's all of my sales documentation, here's all of HR and our values that we have. So they're training, these things can learn, and they have long-term memory, and they have skills, and you can give them skills, and you can train them on skills. Like, you can train them. When I go to LinkedIn and I make a cold call for them, here's how I take that name and put it into Salesforce and track the call. You can train them how you do what you do, and then they will just do that now. And then they'll get better at it. There's a guy I know, Brent Peterson, he's been building an agentic system for 3 years, and he's the person on the planet I trust the most with this kind of stuff, and he said OpenClaw is a big deal. He's got 8 agents right now. They're costing him $200 to $300 a day. People are buying $10,000 computers so they can run AI models locally. The $200 or $300 a day is because it's making API calls to the frontier companies. The reason I go on a bit about this and why I want to talk about this and how it relates to the Great Repurpose, even with people who are educated about AI and using ChatGPT regularly, there's a kind of hubris that we're always going to be required. Well, it hallucinates, and I got to do the thing, and I got to glue this together, and I got to... Not for long. Like, 2026 really is going to be the year where we're all confronted with, oh, what if it could do my job, right? And then I think we're back to, what do you do in that case? And so I think the time to prepare is now and connect with people, but I think they're a huge, huge deal. And they're raw right now, and they've got security holes in them. There's just all sorts of things that if you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. But 6 months from now, when OpenAI releases the commercial version of this, it'll just be push a button, and now you have, it'll be, my guess, it'll be $500 a month per employee.
Is N8N the same thing as Manus?
No, N8N is an automation. So people mistake automations for agents. Agents are proactive and go out and do stuff. They can use tools on their own. An automation, N8N or Zapier, is one where it's got all these tools, but you as the human are in there sort of connecting the connector. It's like Lego blocks of functionality. So, okay, when something gets written into this spreadsheet, I want you to send it to ChatGPT and come up with a marketing slogan and then put that in here and then post it to Twitter and then, So it's a manually hand-structured automation. That's not what these are. These things are thinking on their own. They're doing all that stuff dynamically in real time on their own 24/7. Crazy, right? So we got 15 minutes left. I would love to just hear, I know someone walked in here and said, is this the vibe coding thing? I said, oh, we're not going to do any vibe coding tonight. But I'm curious, from where you walked in until now, where's your, what are you thinking? I'd love to just hear where y'all are.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well,
Yeah,
I mean, you just opened my eyes to a lot of different things and stuff.
yeah,
Now I gotta go home and figure it out.
yeah. And play with these tools. But also, that question that broke me, what do you want more of? Like, sit with that.
I wrote it on big letters.
Sit with that, because it's funny, when we started this practice lab, for whatever reason in my head, I had this fantasy of a practice as being just this, like, you think of just like Zen, like everyone's in this happy place. No, practices are brutal.
Yeah.
If you really sit with what do I really want, it can be brutal, you know? So, and I think the only way through, or forward, is through. So yeah, back there.
Yes. There's admittedly a little bit of a conflict, because I don't know if you've heard about the RAM shortages recently.
Mm-hmm.
How OpenAI has gotten a lot more into data centers, and they need that for they need RAM for that, of course, and that has like a ripple effect in like storage prices.
Yep.
It admittedly makes building your own PC in the future a little tough.
It's going to be tough. The next 3 to 5 years are just going to be surreal. There's no way around it. Like, supply chains are going to be messed up. Like, there's all sorts of crazy stuff where Elon's buying up all the silver futures so he can control the silver market. Like, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on with business. What's going to happen, though, is that AI is going to basically take over manufacturing. So, like, we may have windows of chip shortages or energy shortages or things like that, but we're pretty quickly going to get to the point that AI is solving a lot of those problems. They're going to be coming up with novel materials. They're going to be coming up, like, they're going to be coming up with batteries where you can charge them in 15 minutes and they last for 3 days, and unlimited miles, like just crazy, crazy stuff. So yes, I think it's a concern right now. I think one of the mistakes people make with AI is they're assuming that how things are today is how they're going to be even a year from now. This stuff is moving so fast that we just don't know. Like, a lot of the talk right now is data centers and energy and water usage. I think within 5 years, most of the data centers will be in orbit. Elon's talking about this. He's got a rocket company. Huh?
The moon.
Well, the moon, but just even orbiting. So if you've got something in orbit, it's got 24-hour access to the sun, and the cooling happens because space is cold. And they've figured out how to do that. Like, this is technology that exists today. So like, all the stuff we think we know right now, 3 years from now, is going to be different.
But what is your solution? I mean, you talked about hardened people in community, but then you talk about agents, which are absolutely going to annihilate people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The community just to build like a political force in the future to go against this?
I don't think it's going against it. So listen,
Right, but
no technological progress in history has ever been stopped.
Sure, but these people still need jobs. They still need
So what's different right now, so the Industrial Revolution, this happened. 80% of farm workers in the Industrial Revolution were not working on farms. I think it was 40 years, 45 years after the steam engine was invented. 80%. From their perspective, if you told them you're not going to work on a farm, they have no point of reference. They're not going to work. That's going to be done. Well, what did they do? Well, they moved to cities and they invented the service economy, right? Like, they were doing jobs. Wait, you can sell hot dogs in a cart on a street corner? That can be your job? Like, we have jobs right now that are unimaginable to me as a kid. Like, teenagers on YouTube making $3 million a year? That's a job? Yeah, it is. There could be a career if the bots are taking care of all of our medical needs and taking care of us. You know what might be really in demand? Someone to take a walk with. I'll walk with you for an hour for $100. That could be a career. Like, like, we literally don't know.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's optimistic. I appreciate it. But I mean, the reality is the aging community isn't going to be working at fast food restaurants. So what is the solution? Like, if we aren't setting regulation up now, what is going to happen?
Well, we're not setting regulation up
Well,
now.
not under this administration.
Not, under any, as far as I can tell.
But why does
I-
China have regulation?
What's that?
Why does China have regulation?
I don't know. I don't know. Listen. If you look at where this is going, again, I go back to it depends on the time horizon you look at. If you look at this in a 5-year time horizon, this is absolutely flipping terrifying. If you look at it in 10 years, if we really have bots doing all the mining, doing all the farming, making all the food, getting all the food, there will be abundance enough that everyone will be taken care of. Now, how do we get from here to there? I don't know. Do you know David Shapiro? So if you look at his post-labor economics framework, he just put out a new 8-minute version of it, a new shorter version of it. That's the first approach to what you're talking about that I've seen that makes any sense. UBI to me has never made sense because it feels like it's a Band-Aid. And in David Shapiro's post-labor economics model, UBI is a small, like a 15% component of a much bigger idea. It's actually 4 or 5 ideas. And it actually has to do with municipalities coming together and sharing resources with their citizenry. So
I would argue that the hope that you're trying to promise may not be the end date, right? It may not be a reality.
I agree.
But we can still upskill people in the future of AI.
Yeah.
Right? But saying that, there's going to be abundance and everything's going to be great in the future, we still have to pay for our food. We're having difficulties paying right now.
I know.
So
Right there with you.
AI is not it's not an oracle. It's not going to solve every single problem. And I don't think you're saying that.
I'm not. What I'm saying is AI is a tool that is doing all of what you're talking about. It is also at our disposal. We can do things for ourselves and we can do things as a community where we might solve some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Essentially.
Right?
You still got to make a living.
I agree. And again, AI can help you start a business. I mean, like I'm witnessing people in the AI salon that were jobless. Like there's one woman in the salon who survived 4 layoff rounds. There's another woman in the salon, they laid off her entire division except her because she was generously leading and talking out loud about being AI. I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, and I think those are good examples, but it doesn't impose Amazon laying off 16,000 people because of AI.
That's not because of AI.
No, it's because they needed money.
It's because they needed money.
Well, what are those data centers for?
Well, listen, I get the circular reference, and I also get that the present looks bleak. I think 2 to 3 years from now is going to look worse. But I think 5 years from now, we come out of this. Why I'm giving this talk, why I think this is important is what I am a deep, firm believer in is us reclaiming our agency. Right now, a lot of people are just saying, the robots are going to win, and they're giving up. I'm like, no, we can reclaim our agency. If how I make money is I go sell trading cards that I got at the flea market, then that's how I do it. Like, is that ideal? No. But while I'm doing that, I can be using AI to start another business and start another business and start another business. This, for me, this is about individuals understanding who they are and taking that energy and their ideas and using AI to do something for themselves and potentially the world. Because businesses will be started. What did you say?
You should have opened with that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, there will be businesses started. You will go home, you will sit with, what do I want more of? You will come up with some crazy ass idea. You will use AI to start that business, and a year from now, you'll have 4 employees. And those are 4 of your employees that didn't have a hope of working before, but now they're working for him. Like, that's how I think we navigate through this. But I don't have the bigger answers because they're way bigger than, yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
So I am a creative. I own a design business, and I just started my 7th year. And I went to
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Getting 1 year is a big deal.
You talked about the thing that you can't do. And I can tell you there was one, let me just give you a little context about my business. So we help businesses new startups and businesses photography. I went to school. I have 3 degrees. I have one in graphic design.
Yep.
I have one in website development, and then I have my bachelor's in mass communications.
Mm-hmm.
There's one degree that when I came out of college, I went, did I really learn what I needed to do? You want to take a guess what that one was?
Philosophy or?
Website development.
Oh,
Okay, I went through, I have a degree in website design. And when I came out of college, I felt incompetent. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yep.
Yet it was a big part of my business model.
yep.
And so I was very scared and picky on the websites that I took on because it's a big deal. There's a lot of stuff going on the backside of websites and how they connect and how they function. I can tell you, every website's different.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consistency on how they connect to each other. 6 months, well, let's see, we're in February, so back around June, I embraced, last year I embraced AI in our business.
Yeah. Good
And
call.
I embraced AI in helping me start to solve problems with new websites. And what I can tell you is I saw this incredible growth knowledge. So first and foremost, critically thinking. You're right. You can't just go in and, you know, you have to go rounds with
Yep.
the AI. But what I found is that every time I did that, I found that I started learning because I'm a critical thinker and I'm cautious. I don't just do something. I actually sit there and I want to know, well, it tells me you got to go through these steps. Well, why? What am I doing when I do it? What's the outcome of that? And so I started asking questions. I started learning. And what I found is that I'm not scared of taking on websites. I'm taking on a lot of new stuff. And even just recently, I got into some really deep stuff that I can tell you a year ago would freak me out.
Yep.
And I took it on, and I've actually saved the website because I embraced AI and I took it on. It's kind of become my mentor, my safety net, balancing the board.
Yep.
I throw things off.
Eh.
What is happening is that I'm using it as a tool. It's not defining me. I'm still me. I still have my vision. But instead, I'm using it and going, well, how can I use this as a tool to advance my goals and where I'm trying to go? And so now I've got momentum. I've got direction. I've done things here in the last 6 months, 8 months that I should have had done in the first year of my business, but I didn't have the know-how. I didn't have the tools, and now all of a sudden I have these tools.
You got it. I'll tell you another thing. So, first of all, thank you for saying that. And it's like, the one thing I know is using this stuff is a hell of a lot less scary than not using it. Like, if you're sitting on the outside, you just hear all these people, it does what? But the other thing, your experience and those degrees you have and the skills that you have, that maybe those skills get automated away. People are going to hire you because you said, I'm cautious. I don't do something until it's right. There's something about that. People will hire you to do that, like even if all those skills get automated, because that experience that you have is actually really valuable, right? The skills are going to transfer and change and warp and get surreal. They're going to hire you because, okay, I don't want to think about all that crap. I know he's going to do a great job. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's really good. And I know we're at time, so.
Well, I just want to add on top of that. To Kyle's point, to Scott's point, you got to start somewhere. You came here tonight. I appreciate that. That's one reason. When we came into 2026, I told Max and the XI team, we need to do more with AI. We need to offer more resources, more opportunities for our community and small businesses to come in, embrace AI, for us to be a resource, to offer workshops. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for embracing it. You know, I would encourage you to talk to each other. Talk to Scott. Mago back there, he's a very good resource, working on some really cool stuff with AI.
I just get blamed when stuff goes wrong. That's all I do.
We have transitioned from, well, he's still doing catering, but he's transitioned from being a well-known chef in Colorado Springs to now he's started a new business where he's helping small businesses figure out how to integrate AI into their business. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, don't be scared of AI. Like Kyle said, play with it, learn it, be part of a community. I highly encourage you to join the AI Salon. It's a great community of just very positive and embracing folks who are there to help you. Watch Kyle do his live every night. He does get a little crazy at night with the guitar, but
I have a singing dog.
And then XI, we're a community here. Continue to come to Let's Vibe at XI. It's the first and third Tuesday of the month. So March 3rd, we're going to do a Lovable workshop.
Lovable's amazing. Come to that.
So Stephanie from our mentor, one of our mentors, she's going to show you how to make I think she said an 80s themed game using Lovable. So that should be exciting.
Lovable's amazing.
And then March 17th, Audrey Kushner is going to come back and she's going to do a demo on Gamma and Notebook LM on how to use that in your business.
Both also amazing. Lovable is a vibe coding app. You just basically describe an app you want it to build or a website, and it will build it. Like just go in and say, make me a clone of a asteroids video game from the 70s, and just sit back and when you pick your jaw up off the floor, then you can play your game.
Yeah. And then we'll be doing some more official AI workshops during the day. And we're doing one in March with Violet Rainwater. And then we're doing one in April with Boodlebox and with Audrey. And then 2 more in May with Audrey. And then another one in June with Audrey. And another one with Dr. Rachel Wood, who is one of our panelists at Women in Tech. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn AI and be part of our community. If there's something specific that you're looking for, feel free to let me know, and I'll try to find a way to get that plugged in or where we can meet that demand. I know everybody has different needs, like it's, how do I build an agent? How do I build a localized LLM? How do I do this in my business? Like, just let me know what you're looking for, and we'll find you a way to get to that solution. Other than that, thanks for showing up tonight. There's still some pizza and bread left, and feel free to chat, network, and chat with Kyle while he's still here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle, for coming down.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your time.